Hi everyone, I've been working on further fixes to the ASCA Spaceplane. Unfortunately, I haven't quite figured out the landing gear. We've got landing gear that we can retract via animation, but they don't really work like landing gear. So that's still a problem. But I did fix one other problem, and that is what happens when the Kerbals are inside the plane. So here we have Jeb, who has exited the cockpit and can get in there. This is the rear crew area. This is where they have their cargo, like, well, extra oxygen and some food. That's what we have right there right now. There's a hatch at the top that right now he would only be able to access in zero gravity, so that's another problem. We have to have a ladder going to the hatch at the top, but I'll solve that later. But previously there had been a collider blocking the way to get through to the cargo bay. I have finally fixed that. This is a fake wall, fake airlock basically. That's a fake airlock, so that they can walk into the cargo bay. And now this is okay. And so we can have the Kerbal walk along. Eek, eek, eek. And get off here. Okay, and that's the laser there. And then ultimately, well, we can switch over to here. Now, because I'm still working on fixes, this won't be released just yet in this state, but things will continue. Well, he sort of took a tumble there, but the ramp is down. Now, apparently I had forgotten to put a collider on this part of the ramp. No, I did. For some reason, somebody said I had not put a collider on there. Oh, apparently the collider does not go all the way. Okay, that's interesting. I wonder why that is. Why does it only have half a collider? Well, I'll have to check that out. Okay, so let me revert that. Okay, going back through. Now, there ended up being sort of a bit of a flaw that I will explain. There's always something causing problems around here, but I'll get to that as we move down. I just wanted to point out one more thing, and that's the ladder in the back. Okay, so as we use the lift here. Okay, well, the Kerbal can actually use this ladder too. And so even if the ramp is down, the Kerbal can go up the ladder. The problem is there's no real way for the Kerbal to go up the ladder and then onto the walkway. Right? Immediate collapse. So that I don't know how to do. But at least if the Kerbal grabs onto the ladder, maybe as the ramp goes up, the Kerbal won't get so jostled. I don't know. Let's see. Nope. Nope. That was a bad bet. Oh. Well, shucks. See, the Kerbal just has problems like that. I don't know why. But anyway, perhaps... I think there's something. Don't make them hold on to the ladder when it's closing. I think Jeb would have been fine if he had just been standing on the ramp instead of holding the ladder. Okay? But let me talk about the additional problem that I discovered in the process of this. And for that, we turn to Blender, where I was working on their little excursion vehicle. Basically, while the ship is doing its in situ resource utilization, drilling for water in order to replenish its hydrogen and oxygen, they should probably leave the spacecraft because its reactors are running at full tilt and camp out somewhere else. Well, this is the camper vehicle. Right now it's missing its wheels, but it's got inflatable modules for camping out. You know, basically a pressurized tent is the idea. And if we take a look inside, we have 4 seats up there, just so you get a sense of scale. If we look on the side, the cabin itself is 2 meters tall. And each of these inflatables is about 2 meters tall. So not big by any stretch of the imagination, but, you know, plausible as far as allowing them to hang out. They'll probably have to bring over some supplies from the ship into the vehicle. And so the inflatables deflate. They would carry the supplies in here and so forth. There's the hatch in the back as usual. So that's all well and good, right? Well, you can probably guess what the problem is here. I did try my best to figure out if it would fit into the cargo bay. Of course I made it capable of fitting into the cargo bay, right? Well, not with that stupid ramp. Not with the walkway. The walkway is getting in the way. So yes, it'll fit in the cargo bay, but not with the walkway. So we added this nice little walkway, but it's clearly a problem now. And as a result, I'm contemplating changing the walkway into another elevator, a lift. So they'll have a lift to get to the floor of the cargo bay, which is actually part of the ISRU segment. So there's one part, and then in the game you can find it. There's the ISR unit. The ISRU unit actually is the one that has the cargo ramp. An unforeseen issue that means that the little walkway that I made, which was very nifty, is probably going to go away. But maybe it'll be an option, like, you know, people buying their ASCA Spaceplane will have the option of having the walkway, in which case they won't be able to use this thing, or if they want to use this thing, they'll have the elevator inside, you know. Well, that's designed for you. This isn't the biggest thing ever. I've also been working on more forthright shuttlecraft that is based on the ASCA Spaceplane. The ASCA Spaceplane can land on small bodies like the Moon or Mars. I consider Mars a small body. And around here, I decided to make a Star Trek style shuttlecraft. And in what would be the warp nacelles, we will have the engines from the ASCA Spaceplane. So the ones that are back with the ISR unit, there. Those engines will go here. Not all 20 of them. We won't need it for such a small vehicle, but enough of them. And then these are the tanks. And hopefully those two plus this underslung oxygen tank will be enough to supply the fuel for the shuttlecraft. So we'll have a realistic Star Trek shuttlecraft that can land on locations like the Moon or Mars, not, unfortunately, places like Earth, not unless we want advanced technology, which currently the ASCA Spaceplane does not feature. It's all realistic stuff, technically. Not those well, the Skylon adapted jet engines, of course, are a little bit advanced. But that's not part of the basic design. So coming up eventually, once I figure out the landing gear, I will release a version that has, well, hopefully that part of the ramp fixed, but also the ability to walk through the thing. Probably I'll leave the walkway in place because I won't have this module ready yet. I mean, it's pretty close, but I have to test it on the ground with the wheels. The wheels will just be stock wheels. If I can't figure out the landing gear on the ASCA Spaceplane, I sure can't figure out the little rover wheels either. So, yeah, that'll have to wait. I wanted to make my own wheels, but I can't do that right now. So, yeah, that'll come later, and then that'll come with an elevator version of the interior in the cargo bay. So all these are things that are happening, but at least I figured out how to get them in the cargo bay across that fake wall, and that'll help with some roleplay stuff so that they can get into the cargo bay. Otherwise, it's very hard to have them get into the cargo bay. The reason why the cargo bay is important and like this is because there's no other way for them to get into the spacecraft from the ground or get out of the spacecraft onto the ground. So they can't even plant a flag right now because the hatch is at the top here for docking. So there's no, I mean, I guess you could try and create a series of ladders down the side, but that's sort of inconvenient. So we have to have this cargo bay ramp thing so that they can get down, and they have to be able to get on it so that they can do whatever they need to do on the surface. That's important for our Kerbal roleplays, and that's why it's like this. Originally, I didn't have this cargo bay ramp. I had the cargo bay open at the top, but that has changed. And of course, if you make this sort of thing, you can't make the top opening as well because the structural additions mean that the mass has to increase, and that gets annoying. Anyway, so those are things that are happening. That is what I worked on today. And with that, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do press like. If you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below. And I'll see you next time.